Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this October 30th version of AM Live on EOA. Your connection to Eastern Oregon, we're glad that you are here with us this morning. If you want to find our content, if you go to EOA.network, type that in the browser, and that will take you to a link tree where you can find the location of all of the places where our content is released. That's where you go. And then here in just a little bit, we are going to have Kyle Carpenter and John O'Brien from the city of LeGrand, and they're going to be here talking to us about, John O'Brien is the new city manager of LeGrand, and Kyle Carpenter is the old, long-time public works director from LeGrand. So, hey, how are you, man?
Good. Good.
Doing all right?
Yeah, it's first Friday. We're almost there. This
frosty.
has been a really busy week for me. And then today is really busy, too. I mean, there's GOL cross-country districts today out at the golf course, and then senior night for the boys soccer team tonight. So it's just been, this week's just been,
Yeah.
it's already Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even feel, and I'm behind about 3 games on pictures, but when you're shooting 2 a day, sometimes you get behind a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well, and you've got a big interview coming out, right? I mean, did that
Oh
thing
yeah,
release?
that's dropping tonight. I'll talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that in the.
yeah.
In the
I mean, I
sports
know
report.
that you
Yeah.
and Benny were working on
Yeah,
pulling all
one
that together
It's
yesterday.
been going on for a while. Yep.
Yeah. So, well, good.
Yep. Is
No,
there-
it's frosty. I mean, there's frost on the windows out there this morning. So,
It's not bad. I
Yeah.
mean, it's that time, huh?
Yeah.
When we got to transition into the cold weather. I don't. You know what I hate about it? Probably
that?
the worst is you go to EOU and like they once they turn the boilers on, the heat kind of stays on. You know, like it's like that transition.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have a day like yesterday where it's warm, kind of warm
Right,
during
right.
the day, and then in the buildings it's just like a sweatshop.
like
in
a
there.
like an
Yeah.
oven.
It's-
Yeah.
Especially when it's humid too. You get there in Quinn and there's a lot of people in there, and it's just it's miserable in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Ready for deep, undisturbed rest after costume making, candy hauling, and pumpkin carving? Get the restorative. Did I say that right? Restorative.
Okay.
Yeah,
there
get the
you go.
restorative rest you need this Halloween with the pressure-relieving comfort of a Tempur-Pedic mattress. Shop that collection at Northwest Furniture and Mattress in LeGrand. Big red rocking chair on Elm off of Adams. You can't miss it. It's been there for a long time. Johnny and I were going to take a picture of him sitting in that chair one time. And
That'd still be fun to do.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was not for me.
No.
I'm not going up there.
Yeah, you can
No
even
way.
looking up at that height makes you nervous.
So I talked about the JV game that I went to on Monday night, and I just wanted to show some of the pictures from that game. I'll spare you of another rant about playing varsity starters in a JV game the week of the GOL championship. We won't talk about that today. LHS Volleyball honored their seniors on Tuesday night versus Pendleton. Pendleton swept the Tigers. Pendleton, I think, is number 3 in the state. That's a tough game for senior night. You bring in your rival who's ranked number 3 in the state. And LeGrand's gotten significantly better from the start of the season, but they're not at Pendleton's level right now. And so they ended up losing. They got swept. But they do have a playoff game, November 1st, on the road. They go to Marist Catholic in Eugene. That game kicks off at 5 o'clock, and I think Marist Catholic is the number 1 team in the state. So LeGrand is either 16 or 15, and Marist Catholic's either 1 or 2. I can't remember exactly, but that's going to be a tough road game for the Tigers. But regardless of the outcome, this season, like if you just look at the space between the 2 Baker games, okay, LeGrand went to Baker and lost 3-2. They played good. There was times where they played really good, and then the flip side of that, a couple weeks later, Baker comes here and LeGrand beats them 3-2. So just the growth of this team has been quite remarkable. Look for pictures from the JV2 game, the JV game, and the varsity game coming out in the next couple of days on our social media. LHS Boys Soccer celebrates their seniors tonight at Community Stadium at 6 p.m. Get up there and support these guys. They would love it. There's 2 seniors, Isaiah Cast and Isaac Villagomez, and it's a little bit different than the 9 for the girls. You know, there's just the 2 boys, and they would probably appreciate some support up there, so get up there. The girls play Pendleton at 4 p.m. in Pendleton today. They have the GOL championship already wrapped up and are just waiting for the cards to fall and these final games to get finished so they can see who their first round playoff game is. Their first round playoff game will be at home. They're high enough seated, I believe, that they'll definitely get a first round home playoff game. The big news for today is at 5:30 today, the senior interviews drop, all 11 of them. I'm dropping them all at the same time. What'll happen is it'll go onto our social media, YouTube, and I put the player's name and the time that they're interviewed in the description, so you can just skip right to your kid or to whoever you want to watch. Oh, and it'll also be on Roku at 5:30 as well. LHS football hosts Pendleton tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Community Stadium. That game is also live streamed right here on EOA Live TV. I'll have my boy Jack Pfaffenbach with me on the call again, and I've had people come up to me and be like, "Is Jack going to be back?" And I'm like, I had to make sure that he was going to be there. He's kind of giving up Halloween. He's a 6th grader, and he's kind of giving up Halloween. I mean, he's going to have to figure out trick-or-treating because that's a big gap of time. That's like trick-or-treating time, really, for a kid.
Yeah.
We'll be simultaneously live streaming the Baker and the Dow's game, which kicks off at 7 as well in Baker. So on Roku, there's 2 windows in the live section. There's the window on the left is window 1. That'll be LeGrand. The window on the right is window 2, and that'll be Baker. And it's labeled so you can see. And then on Facebook and YouTube, they'll just both be there simultaneously. Just find whichever one you want to watch. EOU volleyball swept C of I last night in Quinn. The Mounties are in Portland today at Warner Pack at 6 o'clock. The scheduling gods were not in their favor there. I mean, you play at home at a 6 o'clock game, or 7 o'clock game, excuse me, against the number 19 team in the country, and then you have to beat to Portland the next night to play Warner Pack at 6. Thank God it's Warner Pack. I mean, that would be really tough if it was like 2 top-notch teams, and there's a lot of top-notch teams in the CCC. The game last night at Quinn, so the volleyball team lost to Southern. It was only their 2nd loss of the year on Saturday, and this was the bounce-back game. This is the ending of the game. Go ahead, Benny, roll that real fast. The ending of the game versus C of I last night, and I just wanted to take a little video with the camera that I shoot pictures with because I wanted to give you guys a little look at kind of like the atmosphere in there, and I'll show you. There's a point there. That's the student section. It's always full like that for volleyball. It's crazy. And then this is the very last point of the game right here, and you'll get to see just a little bit of what happens at an EOU volleyball game. Now, I cut the sound off so I could talk over it, but it's loud in here right now. Like, it's very loud. And then once they get this point right here, it gets, you know what I mean? And this was kind of a chill crowd. It's a great atmosphere. If you haven't been up there, get up there and check it out. EOU football's in Dillon, Montana this Saturday versus Montana Western. That game kicks off at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And I talked with Camp last night for the first time since the field goal fiasco. And I asked him, I was like, he kicks a 50-yard field goal with a couple minutes to play in a 0-0 game with a kicker that won't warm up that in 40-degree weather. And he said, if I would have went for it on 4th and 11, which it was 4th and 11, we wouldn't have got it. We had to move the ball all day. So he's like, it's like flip a coin right there. And I kind of agree with that. Me personally, I wouldn't have kicked a 50-yarder there, but I get what he's saying. He said either way, people were going to, be at him, whether they, unless they make that field goal, and then it's different. But they're 2-1 in the Frontier Conference, and they beat Southern 2 weeks ago, so they're on pace to possibly make the national tournament this year. EOU men's and women's soccer are in Washington this weekend for Northwest and Evergreen. And finally, EOU cross country is off this weekend as they prepare for the CCC Championships in Independence on November 7th. I sat down with cross country runners Thomas Ogden and Kalia Hines. Those interviews will drop tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Here's a little sneak peek at the Kalia Hines interview. What about you personally? What are you going to school for?
I'm going for HHP and community health, so health and human performance.
Yeah.
And then I'm hoping to pursue dietetics or nutrition.
You want to be like a nutrition coach or?
Yeah, dietitian or just something in that area.
Like, do you want to stay in athletics and do that? Like, would that, like, maybe like for like a D1 school? That would be sweet.
I think, yeah, I want to go that direction. So if I need to start as like a dietitian first and then go there, then yeah that would be the goal.
Like the nutritionalist for like the San Diego Chargers or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a sweet job. That would be so sweet. You get to travel with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, man. I've watched documentaries on all the different jobs in sports. And that one, they do everything. Not only do they make sure that the players are, hitting their goals, like nutritionally, but they're in charge of the ordering, you know what I mean? All of the supplements. It's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
That actually does sound kind of fun to me.
Yeah, it's very interesting for sure.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. They want to make you comfortable in your own home.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
So did the students stand the entire volleyball
Nope.
games?
No, they stand on like game point usually.
Oh, do they?
Or like when C of I's serving,
Yeah.
the people in the front stand and bang on the front of the thing.
Yeah.
But no, that was the match point.
Yeah.
So on match point, everybody stands, not just the students. Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. All right, well, let's take a look outside. It's frosty this morning. And,
Looks like it's going to be a nice
the trees
day.
are, that tree has lost about all of its leaves, but man, by the end of the week, or they're very soon, when I got home yesterday, we have a bunch of trees in our yard, and when I got home yesterday, the driveway was just clear full of leaves.
That's
They
like
dump so many of them.
leaves are like snow to me. I hate raking leaves.
It takes a very narrow band of temperature and elements for you to be happy with.
Yeah. I mean, as long
That's
as it's
pretty.
like
Look at that.
warm.
Look at those trees. So, all right. Well, hey, let's take a look at that graphic, Bennett. And so 54 today, 30 tonight, tomorrow, 55, 43. So, yeah, it's always strange when.
Warms up on Saturday but rains.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So, but tomorrow night, hopefully we'll be clear. And like Kyle mentioned, we'll be streaming live both the game that is here in LeGrand and the game that is in Baker City. Tanya and I and Jesse Taub will be there, and Kyle and the crew will be here. So,
Well, and we're all indoors tomorrow, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not too cold.
And while I'm remembering, be sure and don't forget that tomorrow afternoon, starting at 4, is the LeGrand Main Street downtown trick or treat event. If you have not been to that, you have missed something. It's a lot of fun, and at the corner of Adams and Depot normally it's about 5:30. There will be a costume contest, and anyhow, I don't know how many. I'll bet there's a couple thousand kids that are downtown for that. I don't know. What do you think? Anyhow, it's just an awesome event, and we normally like to just take pictures and do stuff. It just so happens that the game setup conflicts with that a little bit. But
also, at EOU for the football game tomorrow night, I think at 5:30 in the EOU Community Stadium parking lot, they're going to do trick or treating for the kids too, like trunk or treat.
Oh, cool.
And one other thing, if your kid has a costume on, they get into the game for free tomorrow night.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. All righty. Well, hey, we are going to take a break, and we will be back with the City of LeGrand guests that are here with us today. We'll be right back.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
All right, we're back with John O'Brien and Kyle Carpenter, City of LeGrand. How are you guys this morning?
Good, thanks.
Yeah.
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good. And John is the new city manager of LeGrand. How many months now? How long?
I'm on my 10th week.
10th week. Okay, yeah. And
Still a newbie.
yeah, and the whirlwind that comes with that, I can only imagine.
Both the ones that I'm causing and the ones that I'm in receipt of.
Yeah, and you were on the show not too long after you'd been here, just a couple of weeks, and then you and I've talked a number of times, and was at the town hall meeting. That was kind of cool. I mean, what were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so ultimately, one of the things that I realize, and again, this is no statement in regards to anything that's been done before me, it's just merely about who I plan to be going forward. But one of the things I realize is that I need to spend some time in some significant engagement, civic engagement efforts. The desire here is to be able to make sure that I'm giving maximum opportunity for the community to know and understand all the sciences associated with, as simplistically as possible, the sciences associated with how we run the city. And so this is intended to do, first and foremost, spend some time and energy making sure that the community is aware of all the good and great things that are happening in the city by people within the community or organizations within the community. So a big part of it's going to be about recognizing that those efforts and those support actions that are occurring in the city, simultaneously sharing those sciences with the community. This is one of a multi-prong effort, I guess you could say, that we're trying to approach in regards to those engagements, which is, this is the come and meet with me approach. And then the secondary effort is going to be invite me to where you want me, or us to where you need us. We want to give the community maximum opportunity to understand what we're doing and why. Simultaneously, we're in the process of building a menu out that is intended to be able to talk about all the different things that the community is sharing with us that they see as being potential problems, as well as what we're assessing as potential problems. And in that menu, proposing solutions so that in the future, when we're at a time where we need to make decisions, well, then the community has maximum opportunity to be informed on the sciences and the homework behind each of those options on the menu. So that's what these are all intended to be. I guess I should say the third and maybe arguably the most important strategic purpose is have a relationship with the community, for people to know me, to be able to trust me, and the only way they could do that is if we're actually spending time together. So,
Cool. I think the hardest, as I've watched the city function over, many years, Robert once called me the most informed non-elected member of the city council. Just because I've been to so many city council meetings and stuff. But the thing that's hard is when you talk about I like the menu approach. The problem is that sometimes you're on a hamburger budget, but you want really nice champagne, and so when I see people. The services that are important to them, the library is important, or the swimming pool is important, or whatever it might be, and those things are important to individuals. They don't understand that, but there's only so many dollars, and the budget has to balance. And many times, if you have even really say important things like, hey, we need another police officer, or we need another fire truck, or we need things that are paramount. We just can't wish those into existence.
Right.
Yeah. And so so here's the hard question: is how do you hope to lead people through that part of the conversation?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question very much. So one of the things that's true of me in my position is that I can't be perceived as politically advocating for any particular decision. I may have an opinion, but I can't try and push that opinion on the community. But what I can do is make sure that I'm educating the community as best as I possibly can. And I think that takes some significant efforts when I use the words best as I possibly can, or even maybe better said, best as I feasibly can. That's the responsibility I have, is to ensure that the community has maximum opportunity to truly understand the state of the city and the asks that we're going to be providing in the future in order to be able to address any of the potential issues that we're seeing either currently or emerging, or that we can reasonably forecast into the future. I was very lucky. Robert was an amazing fiscal manager, and by all means, what I have inherited is a pretty incredible reality. But he also did a great job of being able to lay the groundwork for me to understand where problems are likely to be in the future. And so we're not in any immediate danger by any means as a city. But I would say that if we don't start making adjustments and planning for changes that we need to make in order to improve our fiscal situation, that by no later than 10 years from now, we would likely be in some pretty significant pain. And so my thought process is that let's do the work now, let's make sure we're educating now, and let's start making decisions now, so that hopefully small changes and or actions over the next couple of years can have huge positive ramifications with minimal fiscal impact to the community. And so, but there's a real science behind all of that, and I almost feel like my words aren't adequate to explain the reality as I see it. But that's where I'm hoping this dialogue is going to take place, is that we're going to create maximum opportunities to be able to give as many people at locations of their choice as well as ones that we offer, to give them opportunity to know and understand, so that when and if anything should potentially hit a ballot for decision, then they have an opportunity to have seen our homework, see how come we're proposing these solutions, as well as hopefully these are solutions that were on the menu that the community has indicated to us is the preferred way for us to proceed forward with any particular problem solving solution.
Good. So both of you know this, that you're in positions where somebody is always going to be unhappy. I mean, it's impossible. Yeah. And
that doesn't happen in public works,
especially in your area, Kyle, because because it doesn't matter how much road work you do, there still are roads that will never get done or are way down on the list. Yeah. So I don't know. So let's start with, you have kind of adopted a different philosophy of road repair than what there has been in the past. Rather than just putting a light coat of something over strategically rebuilding roads. So, and I've heard you talk about that. Explain that, what that is, and why we're doing that, why you're doing that, and how that affects the everyday life of people, because they might not understand that.
Perfect. Certainly. So the methodology that we've really adopted in the last 5 to 10 years is looking at our assets in the manner of a life cycle rather than, just, coming in and making it livable. So there's really two choices. We could come in and we could constantly repair and make it feel good, or we could actually, rip the paint off and start from the bottom. Let's put some real studs in this place and build up the foundation so that you have a road. The primary problem that we ran into 10 years ago that we analyzed and found was that we were spending, 90% of our dollars maintaining maybe 20% of our roads. And what we saw was what you see today is that our infrastructure was just slowly dwindling away. And, very similar to what John was referencing a few minutes ago with the city budget is there was coming a day of reckoning where those 80% of dollars would only cover 10% of our roads. And then we have 90% of roads that are horrible. I have a common saying when doing public speaking is that we all know where the worst road in La Grande is. It's the one in front of your house, because that seems to be what, the common belief throughout the city is that your street's the worst. So when City Manager O'Brien came in, he's speaking about, creating that menu. One of the things I was tasked with was take forward and make it a little more transparent and widely known what we're doing in the roads, what's changing, what are we doing differently. So one of my favorite that's going to start next week is we're actually utilizing AI technology to do our street inspections. So it's very soon, within the next few months, you're going to see a nice map up on the webpage that's going to show a color coding of what all of the roads in the city look like from, we call it the PCI, or the Pavement Condition Index. So it gives a numerical score for the street in front of your house. So we're going to try and knock down that belief that your road's the worst, because we're really going to identify these are the worst.
Or we'll affirm that it really is the worst.
We don't want to do that.
So how does this technology work? What does it do?
It's basically, you're going to see kind of like a Google car, but it's going to be a city car with the Google apparatus up on top, and we're going to just ride through town. So basically it's using LiDAR technology, learning machines. We're going to be taking, constant photography throughout, high resolution photography throughout the city. It then uses an algorithm to calculate the deficiencies in the pavement, and then it'll use that algorithm to give you a numerical standard, which we call the PCI, for what each roadway ranks at. So then we'll actually be able to measure apples to apples rather than, some human subjectivity that's always entered the equation. We're trying to remove that.
So in the past, when you've done that, literally a human has driven down the road and you're observing, or somebody is, and they get fatigued after a while and miss stuff. And this doesn't miss stuff.
Ideally,
yeah.
The technology is emerging.
Right.
It's kind of new. I think they're saying they're hitting a 96% efficiency at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you're having a human, it's basically not even driving. You're stopping every block with a tape measure. You measure the size and depth of a pothole. You count the potholes. You measure cracks, and it's fatiguing. I mean, after you go 70 blocks, it's just human nature that you start cutting corners. We'll say that.
Yeah.
You start saying, well, I can pretty much guess that's 30 square feet of alligator cracking. Or you might roll up on a road and say, yep, this one's toast.
Yeah.
And so human nature is this will take the fatigue out of it. And so, even though we knew which were the bad roads, we're now going to be able to actually itemize by a numerical basis, this is the worst road in La Grande.
So, but now let's go a step further. Just because it's the worst road doesn't, I mean, you can have a road that is really bad, but that is seldom traveled on. Okay, and so then part of part of the criteria of what is fixed is what is most traveled on, I would imagine. Right. I mean, so take that to the next step. Help us understand how that information is evaluated.
The most informed unelected official in town. Yeah, that's one step. I mean, we look at average daily traffic. There are other factors. One of the biggest we look at currently is storm drainage. You know, it's proven in pavement and technology that storm drainage is the #1 killer of new asphalt pavements. So if we're not getting the water off, it's destroying the base, it's shortening the lifespan of that pavement. So you may have a street that's not traveled very often and is going to need, $30,000 to $50,000 to fix the storm drainage problems. We have quite a few streets in the city, especially on the north side, where there is no existing storm system that we've got to figure out where does that water go. I mean, you'd be surprised, most citizens don't like you peeling off hundreds of gallons of water into their front yard. And so we've got to figure out where can we take that water, get it off our roads, and extend the life cycle of our pavements. Because ideally the long-term goal is how do we make the budget we have maintain the assets we have? And the only way we're going to do that is proper construction and adequate maintenance. So that's where we're headed.
So help us understand how you evaluate roads as far as traffic. I mean, I know, and we're talking a little bit about snow plowing and so on and so forth. So you guys know right off the arterials, is that what you call them? That have to be plowed first? Yeah.
Collectors.
Collectors, yeah. And is that same criteria then, is that similar to what you use to where it's like, well, yeah, that's an arterial, and so not only does it need to be plowed, but it needs to be repaired. I mean, how do you prioritize streets that are more important to keep maintained in the best shape?
So a lot of them are just known. I mean, one of the great things about the crew at Public Works is these guys I'd say 75% of them grew up here. They know where people drive.
Right.
Collectors and arterials are all established by the state. So they're all identified on maps. So we do have maps circulating. There's one inside the snow removal plan. That's up on the webpage. Mm-hmm. Every year we verify which are the collectors and arterials throughout the city. Also, we do traffic studies. So a lot of people don't know, and I don't want to give away all our secrets, but we do traffic studies. So we can actually figure out how many cars are traveling on the road per day.
Do the little rubber thing across the road?
Well, no, we're not that. We like
okay.
to be a little low profile because you never really catch the bad guys when you let them know you're there, because you'd see they usually brake before they hit those rubber. So we have some different technology that allows us to kind of do it a little more low profile, and it's been pretty impressive. Recently we removed a lot of people noticed we removed the speed bumps over on Division and on South 12th, or on 12th, not South 12th. We've actually gotten more gratitude than we have complaints on those things. But we did speed studies before and after to see, how much was the speed bump actually helping? Because, the long-term goal is to identify how do we control traffic. What do we use to control traffic? We're always going to have speeders. There's always the fundamental problem if it's a driver problem, not an infrastructure problem. But whatever we can find that can help influence drivers to be doing the right thing is what we're looking for. And we were pretty amazed at some of the traffic patterns we were seeing. We clocked somebody at 73 going down Division at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you were kind of like, holy cow, 70 and a 25. But those things are happening. And so, it's interesting being able to look at the traffic patterns and trying to figure out different ways of changing the atmosphere so that we can get a little better control on those things.
I think just recently, and I'm not going to give up where, we can talk about that offline, but yeah, I saw one of the crew attaching a device somewhere near a crosswalk to a pole, and I thought, I wonder if that's some kind of intelligent gathering. But anyhow,
I think that was a police station, probably.
Was it? Yeah. Well, let's go back to a minute to road. Help me understand how a good road is constructed. And let me tell you this. Yeah. So anybody who's ever done paver work in their own backyard, they understand when you just throw pavers on top of mud, and how long that lasts versus the time that you take to build out pavers the way. So, using that illustration, can you help me understand because I think that's probably similar to what road construction is in a way.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah. So help me understand why, you're spending more money on redoing roads completely. So a couple of years ago, you did Second Street, and it was closed for, I don't know,
Forever.
a long time. Yeah, 8 months, maybe longer. But I mean, at one point there was, I did a drone flight for you over that, and at one time, you were 2 feet deeper than where the road ended up. Why is that necessary? Explain all that to us.
So there's a couple of factors in pavement design. The first one would be, structure. So every portion of the road construction, including the subbase, the base, and the pavement, each has a different factor in how much strength you're building into that roadway. And so the depth is sometimes determined, one, by the structural number, is what we call it in pavement design, for what you need to carry the projected traffic over that section. Primarily what controls here in Eastern Oregon is frost depth. So when you're constructing a road, you want to make sure that at least half the depth of the frost depth in La Grande would be covered by a drainable material. So that includes crushed rock, riprap, pavement, those types of things.
So what is our frost depth here?
Here in La Grande, it's 24 inches.
Okay.
So we shoot for a pavement section that's at least 12 inches thick, if not more. Our standard pavement section is 16 inches of rock with 4 inches of asphalt over the top. So we're at 20. So when we construct a road in that manner, we highly anticipate that roadway is going to last well over the 20-year design life with just maintenance activities. We're not going to have to come back and rebuild it.
Okay.
When we're rolling through, like on 2nd Street, when we hit the intersection of 2nd Street and Spring, we pulled up the pavement because we were also replacing a large water main that ran up 2nd Street. When we pulled back the pavement, it was paved right over dirt. So there was no specific structure underneath. Another great example was when we paved on Walnut earlier this year. We did what we call a grind and inlay. And so in that, you'll take a grinder, you'll come through and remove the pavement over the top of it, and then you'll come back and pave back in. So it's a grind and you inlay the similar thing. So you get the same structural number, so your road is the same strength, but you've rejuvenated the pavement so that it's going to last longer, because what we find is the oil dries out and it breaks down faster. Well, when we ground it out, they came through to tack it to get it to pave, and the tack just sank right in through the bottom of the street. So the whole structure was taken up in that pavement. And so at that point, we said, well, the pavement's going back in, but we're going to be back to rebuild this in the next year. Because that's, we can't come in here and say this is what we're doing. We're coming in to build roads and then let that fly. So we're trying to be transparent and true to our word. Did we, it was an experiment. We didn't know what kind of base was under there. We do some drilling in spots, but it's inaccurate because you don't know what the full length of the road is. You know where you drilled what you have, but you don't know for the whole length of the road. So we lost about two blocks. It was from Adams up to Maine that we've only paved one lane. And those are some of the problems we run into of, talking with the public and getting the messaging out there, because I got a lot of phone calls of, why did you only pave half the road? This is nuts. And the pavement looks horrible. It's already cracked. And so we're like, we know. We ran into a problem. It didn't work. We're going to be back. We'll fix it. But we needed to make it passable for now. So those are the times when trying to find effective means of communications with the public to get the information out there so they understand that, we're not just out here throwing darts. We're making educated gambles, and sometimes they pay off. Most of the times they pay off, but sometimes they do not. Sometimes we lose.
I have a question regarding that. Is there a system in place to document how these roads are being built now? Because you say we don't know what's under the road. So what are you doing to prevent that in the future is basically what I'm saying. Are you documenting what you're doing to each street and what's,
Certainly. Yeah, so one of the tools we have at our disposal is GIS, Geographic Information Systems. And so what that is it's basically like a large database in a picture form. So we have, the map of the city of La Grande. You can click on the road, and we have the abilities to create a layer to say this is how we constructed it. It's got fabric, it's got 12 inches of big rock, it's got 4 inches of 3/4, and it's got 4 inches of asphalt. So, but it's a huge information gathering. We're starting from nothing.
Right.
And it's not like you can say, hey, let's stop paving this year and go out and gather all this information, because the public would lose it.
Yeah. You know, yeah.
So it's one of those side jobs where, we continually try and feed the information into the model as we go, but to catch the model up to where it actually has all the information we're looking for. Because, I mean, you're talking transportation is one end, we've got sewer, we've got water, we've got storm sewer. There was recently the feds pushed down that we needed to determine the material type of all water service lines within the city, not only on the city sides, but on the customer side, which whole nother topic for another day, nightmare. But again, geographic information systems gave us the ability to start tracking throughout the city. What is that material type? What does that service line look like? When was it put in? What do we know about it? So we're starting to gather a ton of information that will make future administrations have it a little bit easier. But it's a heavy lift today.
I kind of wonder why they didn't think of that before. You know what I mean? Like 40, 50 years ago. Like to set people up for today to have this database that says, hey, 4th Street is, 4 inches of this, 8 inches of that. But
they did. They just wrote it all in cursive, and none of us understand how to read it anymore.
No, you guys, you can read cursive. It's the generation below us.
Yeah. There is a lot of files. It's just record keeping back in the day was incomplete, or it was in a nomenclature that we no longer use, and the amazing turnover in staff. I constantly say we have lost centuries of inherent knowledge inside the institutional knowledge in the last 5 years, and it's difficult. Back in the day, there's always been some internal struggle of information's power. And so it didn't always make it to a piece of paper. Sometimes it was in somebody's head, and then they never realized how important it was until they were gone.
Right.
So,
and there are mechanisms for us to be able to solve that problem going forward to guarantee it. And Kyle's certainly doing the best that he can to get after that now. But most of the mechanisms to solve that are resource requirements. And so those are additional costs that, for the sake of future efficiency, that we have to be mindful of building into our current effort, but also is stuff that we have to be planning on spending more money on.
Right.
On that note, are you able to speak to an approximate cost per mile to do the average work that you just described?
So we go on square footage. Mm-hmm. So when we come through and we find that there's a road of adequate structure, so if we find one of those roads that you're not seeing, there's going to be a lot of pavement failure. So real quick overview, there's a couple different types of failures. There's failure because the asphalt has dried out or it's an insufficient surfacing. And those kind of things you're going to see is just like large transverse or longitudinal cracks. You might see potholes because of drainage issues. But when you start seeing like alligator issues, those are structure issues.
What are alligator issues, sir?
Alligator cracking, sorry.
Okay.
So that's where you get a lot of the little small cracks in an area. So that's where the road is actually deflecting enough that you're seeing a lot of fracturing in the asphalt. Those are going to be base failures. Those are the ones where we know we're going to have to do some rebuilding on the road. When we can come in and we can just overlay and take care of drainage issues, we're getting at about $1.75 to $2 a square foot. When you're having to do a total reconstruct, we're on the range of $7.50. So it's a pretty significant difference of jumping from one to the other.
$7.50 per square foot.
$7.50 per square foot. So
then if your average road is how wide? I mean,
let's use 28. We have a lot of substandard width roads, so 28.
So all right.
So like roughly like 38,000 a square mile. 38,000 a square mile.
Kyle is good at math.
Is that it?
Yeah. If you're looking at miles.
Yeah, it sounds
38,000 a square mile for the complete rebuild.
Yeah, we look like I would say we're around 20,000 per block for an overlay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
So while we're talking about money, let's talk about this, because the ARPA funds came through. City of LeGrand, it was somewhere in the area of $2.5 million. 3.2 million. The City of LeGrand voted. I mean, lots of discussion like, okay, let's put that all on roads, which you know, I mean, there was a process that went through that. The question I have is, what percentage so if you had to put a number on, like, okay, this is the amount of money that it would take to fix the roads of LeGrand, what would that be? Because I think the public doesn't understand. It's like, okay, yeah, there's $3.2 million, but that's only, what percentage of the problem does that fix? A guess.
I'm spitballing.
Yeah.
So generally, without ARPA funds, we have an annual budget of around, I'm going to say 1.4 million for roadway work in general.
Okay.
And we projected it would take around 40 to 50 years of return time. So we're talking anywhere from 70 to 80 million roughly
Okay.
to pave the whole city.
So you got like a 35th of that.
Yeah, so if somebody shows up with 80 million,
Yeah.
we're going to have the best streets
Right.
in town.
So
in the
$3.2
state.
million was a help,
Huge.
but it still was, I don't know, what percentage of 80 million is that? Yeah, a very small percentage. Yeah,
25,
Not even
27.
5, yeah.
yeah,
5%-ish.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Because, and there's a disconnect there for people out there. I mean, I know you know this, but when they look at these charts and they go, oh, well, that 3.5 or 3.2 should have fixed this, not knowing that, yeah, that's about 5% of the amount of money that we need,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They just don't know that.
No, I think that's one. And you know, the primary thing when the ARPA funds came along that a lot of people saw is we didn't pave the worst roads. We utilized the ARPA funds to kind of position ourselves into a spot where moving forward we could work on what needed to be worked on. So when you look at the roads that we paved, we strategically selected roads that were very large projects. These were projects that would suck down, 1 to 2 years of our annual budget so that we could get them knocked off the list so that wasn't going to kill us in the years coming up. So we effectively took off the board all the large projects so that we can start skipping around and start hitting those smaller residential roads on an annual basis. So there was a strategy in how we did it. I know that a lot of people looked at it and said, man, that list, those roads were fine. And I agree. They were, we won't say fine, in my opinion. They were decent. I think we have come accustomed to bad roads. We do have rough roads in LeGrand. We're working on it diligently, but to set the standard, those roads were not even, in my opinion, fine. They were decent. So we're on our way. The ARPA funds made it really nice for the first year ever in the history of me being at Public Works, so 14 years. We have only heard complaints. The roads are horrible. We've got potholes. This year, we got calls where people were like, you didn't pave my road and it stinks, but you got a lot of work done, so thanks for that. And to me, that's like a testament to what these crews were able to do this year. They moved mountains, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The amount of paving we completed this year was far and away more than we probably completed in the 10 years previous that I've been in Public Works.
And the
Well-
crew that you have, how many personnel is that?
So the street crew itself is 8 people, and then they pull in from other divisions when we do large pave jobs. So you'll have your water guys and your sewer guys come over and work on the crews as we pave internally.
Yeah.
So it's a whole office effort when we go through paving season. I mean, even my front office has to take a beating on people who call in and are upset with. You need to pave my road. It's horrible. You're paving my road. I can't get to my house. You just paved my road and people are driving too fast.
So, like you can help.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So one of my pet peeves is, and I know you love me starting the comment like that, is when you have a brand new road and then there's utility work that has to be done, and there's a cut in the somewhere. I mean, and it never gets patched really the way that it has to be. Explain to me why does that have to happen that way? You know what I mean?
We call that the Portland model.
Okay.
We dropped the Portland model. So what you're seeing now, and we changed this about 4 years ago because our street superintendent has the same pet peeve. he gets really irritated with paving a road and then having to come back and it's got a patch in it.
And the reason that happens is because some house needs to replace their
sewer
liner.
tap,
Okay, yes,
we
right.
break a water service.
Yeah, right.
And so what you're seeing now is you'll actually see our crews coming through replacing all water services that are outdated. So they're all going to be copper. They're all going to be checked. We check every sewer service that we come through. Either
as you
through
go along. Yeah.
prior to paving. So, and that's part of the strategy of building good roads is we're going to go through, we're going to make sure everything underneath it is perfect, and then we're going to pave the road. Ideally, we even check against, is there any lots around here that may be developed? Does anybody want an AAU? What do we see coming up in the future? So AAU, accessory dwelling unit. So we want to make sure that anything that could possibly make us cut the road has been identified and taken care of prior to paving that road, because our rule in-house is we do not cut a road for 5 years after we pave it. Are we going to break the rules? Sometimes there are situations where the unforeseen happens, and we do, but for the most part, no. We're going to stay off those roads for 5 years, and people don't really like it when we say no, but we've tried to take every step necessary beforehand to try and avoid any cutting of these streets, because just like you said, it shortens the life cycle of the pavement.
Well, and it never really gets back to the same,
It does not.
No.
I'd like to add something into this
Yeah.
if I could. Something we kind of glossed over in what Kyle mentioned that I think is important for people to know and understand too is through good stewardship, they're pooling resources from across their organization to help make sure that they're getting this effort done. When he's pulling resources from across the organization, that's him saying he's pulling people from other jobs that they have that they're supposed to be doing in order to focus on this. And he does so balancing the risk, but at the end of the day, that's us making people wear multiple hats in order to be able to get something done, which isn't necessarily the job that they're hired to do, but they're doing it in order to be able to do and provide the best service that they can to the community in order to get after a problem that's hard to get people to know and understand, is that 5% of the streets per year or less, arguably to the community may not feel like that's good enough. But to even get the 5% that's being accomplished done is a heroic effort by him and his team in order to make that happen. And that isn't us saying, hey, just be happy with what you're getting. What we're saying is within our resources, they are doing a great job of giving what you're getting. Without more resources, you're not going to get better than that. And even then, they're surging now in order to do what they're doing, arguably at expense. And so the question is over time, if we keep doing that, how much are we increasing the risk to the city in anything that's not getting done because they're focusing on one particular problem area? So that's open for further conversations in the future. But it's important that the city knows and understands. We can acknowledge all day long that we'll say 5%. That 5% getting done every year is not good enough. But the work that's being done in order to make that happen is actually a significant effort, much more than on average that people are going to want to believe is as heroic as it actually is.
And I get that, because Kyle, I mean, how many people do you have that are under you in different areas? How many employees are in Public Works?
We're up to 30 now.
30, and tell us the departments that you mentioned them briefly. What are the departments that they are divided among?
So we got engineering, we got water, sewer collection, sewer treatment, and streets.
Okay. And you've taken
Motor pool.
Yeah,
Got motor pool.
That's right. Yeah, and you've taken me out to the sewer.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave me a tour through that, and that's a
wastewater
super
treatment
interesting
plant?
conversation. Also, yeah, with people. I mean, and that's the thing that I just, I want people to understand. That's why I ask the questions that I do, because there's a lot that they just cannot possibly know. You cannot. I mean, the LeGrand water treatment system runs from where they see that, and it runs clear to out in front of Hot Lake. I mean, that whole, right. And when it gets done, it's all a very organic, natural process. And when it gets done, that water is turned back into the swamp there. And the birds enjoy that, and it's back into our ecosystem and so on and so forth. And that's really unique.
It is.
Yeah. Most people don't, communities don't have that opportunity that we do. Yeah.
Or fully recognize just how big of a deal it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And all of that takes management. All of that's interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, you've come up with a graph. And Bennett, can you put this up? So this is the schedule for paving the streets, and go to a couple of those other slides, Bennett, so that they can get a little bit more of an idea, and you have a cost associated with each of those. And go to the other slide. And I love the cost figure because it helps people understand the cost. If you want this information, this is on the City of LeGrand website under Public Works, or scan this QR code right here, and that will take you to that website location. Kyle is going to put that information, or he did put that information in the comments. I mean, I happen to have your personal cell phone number, and I really appreciate that. But you're always responsive, and I really, I mean, you guys were working on Spruce. Is that the street not too long ago? Yeah. And there was a rough manhole. I mean, you now have done that entire project, but there was a rough manhole cover, and I could see that it was a problem because every time I would take Tanya to the hospital and drop her off, I was like, oh, that's going to be an issue, And you said like, well, we're gonna totally do that street here in a month or so, but I'll have them take a look, and somebody came out and was like, yeah, that is a problem. We need to throw some asphalt on that in order to smooth that out. So I mean, I just appreciate that you are responsive, you're approachable, and I mean you've got a lot of responsibility, and you're not going to make everybody happy, but. So, before we quit here, though, tell me, we got leaves falling. How do people need to handle leaves? And then talk to me about snow. What?
Okay. Yeah. Are we elevator speech time frame here?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll notice on your weather view, you could actually see that we have swept the leaves from downtown because of the Halloween trick-or-treat event. We try and get those out of there before we have the event. So you could actually see where the sweepers had been through downtown. So we are actively picking up leaves currently. You're going to see sweepers going through. We're working on our notification system, also on the web page. So there is some, you can opt into a notification via text. So ideally, we're going to get to the point where we'll be able to send out, we're going to be in this section of town today doing the sweeping on leaves. One of the things we run into is people don't know the sweepers are coming, so they don't get their cars moved, so we don't get everything. Number one thing with the leaves is don't push your leaves from your yard into the street. We will skip you.
So it's their responsibility to do their own leaves in their own yard.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it would be great if we had a system where we could push them in, but what we find is you get a huge berm of leaves right in the gutter, and we're circling the block 3-4 times just trying to get one house's leaves out, and it's just, you can't do it.
Okay, and why is it important to pick up the leaves, for you to pick up the leaves in the street?
They clog our storm drains. Okay. If we don't get those leaves out of there, then when the snow melt comes, you're going to have a puddle in your front yard. Okay. So ideally, we get all the leaves out of there before the snow comes, and when people are pushing the leaves in the gutter, it hindered us from getting the whole city done because we just sit there and circle the same block over and over again to get the same leaves, and then only a portion of town is taken care of. Snow removal's coming, like you guys were saying. We got some frost this morning. Just two key topics I wanted to cover on that one. Number one, we do have our current snow removal plan on the webpage. So if you're looking for it, even if you do City of LeGrand snow removal plan, it'll pop right up on the search engine. And the biggest question we always get is, how do you determine when you are going to go and snow plow? And so the traditional answer has always been when there's 6 inches on the ground and there's more snow in the forecast, which is pretty subjective because everybody's like, where do you measure the 6 inches?
Right, yeah.
So one of the things City Manager O'Brien and I have been tackling is re-examining what that snow removal plan says. you know, we've started instituting different methods of doing that snow removal. So we were, you know, as I said, we've lost a lot of institutional knowledge and abilities over the last 10 years. And some of that is when you get a guy who's been operating a grader or a plow for 30 years, he knows where every driveway in town is. It doesn't matter how much snow we got, he knows when to drop that wing. So as we're training new drivers, it's nice to get them out there when there's a lower snow level so that they can actually see the indicators of where they can start figuring out where those driveways are and the obstacles that the older drivers knew where they were. So the change that we've made is when we see 4 inches and more snow coming, as long as budget allows, we'll go out and we'll hit the collectors and arterials. We're not going to change residential roads. The way that the collectors and arterials are set up, there is nowhere in town that you aren't 2 blocks from a collector or an arterial. So we will stay off residential roads until we hit that 6-inch mark. But at 4 inches, we do what we call a practice plow, where we send out the people and we, you know, switch up equipment, have people try new things, build some experience, and we get those collectors and arterials cleaned up so that it's still easy to get around town. And we found that the public was a little more appreciative of the effort when we get that stuff done, because it seems like 4 inches might be more of the perception of when we need to be there than 6.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But 4 is difficult. It's not as effective, you know, but whether we recognize it or not, storm systems are changing. How those storms are coming in, what they look like, have completely altered from 5 years ago, what we're seeing. And so we need to change with the times. The same old thing isn't going to work. So we need to be developing the way that the weather patterns are.
Are you able to speak at all about snowfall and parks?
Snowfall and parks, what are you thinking?
Just bottom line, any kind of snow clearing that occurs in those areas.
I make Stu do that.
Okay.
Stu usually will clear, I think he clears most, they got like a little Kubota that they do most everything with, which is pretty rough. So I think if we finish our tasks, sometimes Stu will reach out and ask for a little help, and we do have a significant amount of equipment. One of the other changes we made recently is we started, back in the day, we used to get snowfalls where it was just graders and trucks, large trucks, so dump trucks with plows on the front. Nowadays, we're finding that, you know, the pickup mounted plows are actually a very effective tool. And so being able to, you know, jump on some of the parks or other city facilities like City Hall parking lot, library parking lot, is a little bit more of a reality because they're a lot easier to move around, and they're still really effective at moving the snow we're seeing nowadays.
So, and then before we quit on snow, I know you have a number, because you said it before, but like when you have a crew out 24 hours and they're working on snow, what is the cost of the city of that 24-hour period?
So I haven't calculated under the new rates. I don't think we've changed
ballpark,
enough.
yeah.
Ballpark, full snow removal event is about $30,000 for the town. If we pick
Per
up
day.
the snow, well,
For
that,
24-hour period, okay.
that's for plowing.
Okay.
If we pick up the snow, because as you know, downtown we plow to the
Right.
middle, and then we'll come through with a huge snow blower and pick it up.
Yeah.
It's around another 10 to 12,000. So
Yeah.
full on snow removal event, if we got 6 inches of snow and more was coming, it would cost around $40,000.
Yeah.
And the key takeaway here that I think everyone in the city should know, your snow removal is paid for with what we call the storm event fee, which comes on your water bill. It's $4 a month. So every water meter in town effectively pays $48 a year for snow removal. But that also includes flood response. It also includes any storm system upgrades that we do. And, you know, I've constantly asked Robert before John got here, and I'm sure it'll come up this year when the snow comes, because I hear we're going to have a bad year, that I'll ask John, can we just give them back their $48 and not do this anymore, because we are so tired of snow removal. So I already know the answer is no.
Yeah.
Well,
preemptively
and,
give
occasion,
you no,
and, you know, and occasionally you have events, winters, where it totally blows the budget, and you've got to go into reserve to pay the snow removal. Yeah.
Yeah, so traditionally we budget for around $200,000 for storm response. That'll include your sanding of the roads all year long. That'll do snow removal. That'll do flood removal. I think twice in the 14 years I've been here, we've exceeded that number. The highest I've seen is 283, so $283,000 one year.
Yeah.
Not horrible.
Not horrific.
No.
No. I mean, generally, the last 2 years have been very mild winters. I think we hit around 80,000. So, which has been very beneficial because we're able to put money in savings to go towards some large projects that we have slated in the future, like the Geckler Slough Bridge on 18th Street that really needs to be replaced, and you know, some of the storm systems on the north side that really need to have something that removes the water from the roadways.
Okay, so before we quit, because talk to me about connecting the fairgrounds to the city of LaGrange. Yeah, I mean, to kind of give us, I mean, we've got that from Matt's perspective and the commissioners and stuff. Yeah, give us the real skinny of what, I don't know, do you have an elevator speech topic for that?
I have an elevator speech topic for whatever you've got.
Yeah.
The city's already put forward a major effort to, we fully are in support of the project. So we have lined the sewer lines all the way from the fairgrounds to where it hits the main part of our system. So we've effectively greased the skids for that sewage to make it through our system, which was on the order of $150,000. The fairgrounds itself is all paid for by those funds that Commissioner
Right.
Scarfo has went and got. All of that will be a private system, so it actually doesn't enter into the City of LaGrange system until it hits a manhole on the corner of Lake and 2nd. All that will be privately managed.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was a difficult discussion from the standpoint of they're building a lift station, but it will service one customer.
Okay.
And anywhere in the city, you know, if a citizen came to us and said, "Hey, I want to build a lift station to put the sewage into your system. Will you take that lift station?" You know, when you look at how public works and, you know, the sewer system is ran, we're an enterprise fund. We're run like a business. My job is to not really make money, but not lose money.
Right.
And as good of a project as bringing the services to the fairground is, it's hard to justify the expenses of a lift station for one customer. There's never going to be enough rents or enough income off of a one customer system to pay the maintenance cost on that lift station. So the city has extended, you know, some different options for us to assist them as they move forward. I think there's some tourism dollars that have been pledged. You know, there's some expertise on the city side where we're willing to come out and help wherever needed if there's problems run into. But as the actual administration, until it becomes where the return on investment at least comes close to breaking even, we can't adopt that system. So happy partner, just not ready to be an administrator of that system.
Okay, and so they're essentially building the system that's going to deliver the sewer to you, and from there on, you guys are receiving that, and I'm sure there's a payment for that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're, okay, and I follow that.
They're going to be billed just as any other commercial industry in town. So
Yeah.
they will pay us just like a restaurant, just like Safeway.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
so it'll be it's set up for now. You know, when we get construction done and we start looking at the model and seeing how everything is going, maybe it changes. You know, we constantly are reviewing.
no, that's
how those
interesting.
look
So
like.
then there's a target. Here's the target at Lake and 2nd. This is where you guys got to deliver it, and we'll take it from there.
Exactly. It's kind of like our agreement with Island City.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, hey, so John, back to you. Is there anything that I spent a bunch of time talking to Kyle. Yeah.
That was the goal. That was the goal.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you. Appreciate you guys being here. And Kyle, I know that you're a lot like a sound engineer in the sense that, you know, it's when you get it, if you're not noticed, everything is good. And yeah, just like, yeah. But if you have feedback, if people are turning back and looking at you, it's like, oh man.
What's going wrong?
Yeah, what's going wrong?
Are the
Yeah.
toilets not flushing? Is the water not coming?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for being here, both of you.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Want to get us out of here?
Let's do it. On this day, October 30th, 1873, P.T. Barnum's Circus Greatest Show on Earth debuts in New York City. 1919, Baseball League presidents call for the abolishment of the spitball. 1954, the U.S. Defense Department announces the elimination of all racially segregated regiments. 1960, Michael Woodruff performs the first successful kidney transplant at the Edinburgh Royal Infirmary in the United Kingdom. 1970, English metal band Black Sabbath makes their U.S. concert debut at Glassboro State College in New Jersey. The show is interrupted twice when they blow out the power. 1974, Muhammad Ali KOs George Foreman in the 8th round in the Rumble in the Jungle. In Zaire, he got the title back in that fight, actually, and that was the famous rope-a-dope tactic. 1980, on this day, my brother, who's 15 months younger than me, is born in San Diego, California. Happy birthday, Kenny. Hope you have an awesome day. 2012, Walt Disney purchases Lucasfilm Ltd. and its rights for Star Wars and the Indiana Jones franchises for $4.05 billion. 2019, Twitter head Jack Dorsey announces it will no longer take political ads. And then 2023, former basketball player Magic Johnson becomes the fourth athlete in history to become a billionaire. The first three were Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods. On this day, the #1 movie in America 20 years ago was Saw 2. And the quote of the day comes from Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. One more time. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
All right, good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you being here. So,
Thanks for having us.
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., dual simultaneous live stream.
Yep.
Football.
Yep. And tomorrow afternoon, trick or treat downtown La Grande starts at 4 o'clock. Don't miss it. So, see you guys soon.